work. So the government has to start thinking of what are the opportunities that we can create for jobs for people. Secondly, the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Labour need to start working together. Okay. If employers are saying we're willing to employ, but we're not getting qualified people, what's the Ministry of Education doing? Okay. What is Ministry of Labour asking the Ministry of Education to do? Because we can keep complaining, but if we don't solve these issues, we'll get to 20% by the end of 2018. So for me, let's focus on creating opportunities and certain industries.
In agric. There's so much opportunity. So the potentials are huge, especially if we go into mechanized farming.
Exactly.
Kaduna State has taken the gauntlet. They've moved on. Kaduna State has. Can we have a picture of the feed mill that Kaduna State built? The feed mill is going to employ close to 300 to 400 people.
Wow.
And those 300 to 400 people are people who will be working in the factory. And because you have this kind of factory in Kaduna, it means that other businesses and the area where you set this up will now be developed.
Of course.
There'll be drivers who will come in there to pick up goods and take to other parts of the so and then you will have pump stations, because if these drivers are coming, then it means that more diesel will be sold.
Exactly.
And I don't think that place has its own power generation, and so it means that more electricity will be consumed.
So there are numerous opportunities really beyond the feed mill.
Restaurants.
Yes.
Restaurants, because the workers will have to eat,
of
so
course.
more food will be consumed in that place. Insurance companies will benefit as well.
Of course.
The pension scheme will be boosted.
Of course.
Because all of those people...
Exactly.
And which is the problem that I have. Now, let's have the picture of the stadium in Akwa Ibom. Now, I've told somebody, I said, one thing is policies also affect how this unemployment is dealt with. Now, this is a stadium that was built in Akwa Ibom. I'm looking now at the stadium and I'm thinking, how many people would this place employ on a regular? How many of them will earn a daily allowance from this stadium? It is beautiful, fine.
Yeah.
It's something that speaks to if you build this in a country like in the UK, where sports is business.
Yes, and drives the economy.
Exactly. Yeah. We can say, okay, there's a stadium now like this, and maybe Tottenham is building their new stadium. They can come and take this for like till their stadium is ready. But this kind of stadium that sinks close to maybe like 90 to 80 billion or something. How
is this providing jobs?
How?
Because beyond when they were building it, it's one of so you got people to build it and they disappear. But in maintaining it, how many people will be required?
These are the things that we need to be looking into. We need to, for instance, if something is done in Dubai, if they build anything in Dubai, it is something that will employ people and draw people into the place. Unless we have like a Super Eagles match, that is when the stadium like this comes in handy. But even then, the number of people in Akwa Ibom that would want to go to watch a Super Eagles match here would not be like the people that go to watch Premiership.
Exactly.
It's a 30,000 or so capacity stadium, and built with close to about $48 to $49 million. So it's in the neighborhood of 30 to 35 billion or 90 billion. So this can create jobs. So which is why I said we needed to mention some things that need to be done. Our rail, our port, Warri Port needs to begin to work at full capacity. The Port Harcourt port needs to be working, Calabar port, and all of this port. Now we're talking about dry ports, where containers can be taken to. It will create jobs. So we need to begin to look at things that can create jobs.
Exactly. We need to get our priorities right as a country.
Entertainment.
One show alone can create jobs for over 100 people. One show. Every weekend there's a concert holding in Nigeria.
Okay.
Other people, I see a lot of entertainers who want to do much more. They want to own their own studios. They want to own their recording studios. They want to do a lot more. If our infrastructures would enable them to do these things, we'll create jobs for more people.
Okay.
But as a country, have we gotten our priorities right? Like when we invest in a sports stadium, and then we see that we do not have anything in agriculture, apart from Kaduna State, which other state has a feed mill? Are they the only ones that want to?
Of course, and you have, when you have a feed mill, it means that you can mop up products from all around you.
Exactly.
So if you set up a factory, a cotton factory, it means you boost the business of cotton farmers. All right. This speaks to me because it will develop the place. Like when Dangote set up his company, the area schools will increase because the workers there will have to put their children in schools. The wives will have to go to the market. It means that there'll be hospitals, there'll be restaurants, there'll be clubs, there'll be hotels. So accommodation will increase. I believe that we need to begin to look at what will generate employment than what will make political statements.
Exactly. That is
political statement, and that's our position here. This program is about vacancy, and we're talking about how jobs can be created. We believe that entertainment is big, and the more you invest in entertainment, a lot more people will be employed in entertainment. But we also believe that such dying sectors of the economy should be woken up. For instance, rubber plantations, palm oil. We're exporting palm oil, cocoa. We have Nestle, we have Bonvita, Cadbury. All of these people, the more businesses they get involved in, the better for the country.
Exactly.
So we need to find how policies would help these people. We'll be back after this break. So we're not going to take calls so that we can hear from our listeners, our viewers who are at home, what your take is on the unemployment rate that is this high, 18.8% in 2017, and with how things are going, I'm sure by 2019 we probably will hit about 20%.
That would be very sad. Extremely, because it just means that the amount of work is going to increase. So the way we are seeing an increase between 14% to 18%, can we also see an increase in the new companies that are being created, the new industries that are being invested in? It's not enough for us to keep complaining. I stand on the side of the employers and the employees. Yes, we do not have some unemployable people, but we still do not have jobs for these people. Okay,
we have a caller from Benin, IB from Benin. Hello.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Good morning, my brother.
The issue I really discovered here in Benin is the problem of light.
Okay, electricity.
We don't normally have light 24 hours, so the cost of running diesels and fuel is too much. So industry cannot set up a business where there is no power supply in the day.
Okay.
Just say, for example, in our domain, we cannot have like 4 to 6 hours. So if one gets like for 3 hours and maybe 3 hours no light, there will not be production, as in like when we are using light every day. The cost of running the business will be.
All right then, thank you so much. So it's one of the biggest problems that employers and factories and all of them have is electricity. So they generate the electricity. So we can argue that it eats into the profit
of course. So they cannot employ as many people as they would require or they would like to.
Okay.
So this is just a chain reaction. The government isn't providing jobs. The private partners or private sector who will say, okay, let's provide jobs, you don't give them enough infrastructure to be able to run their company.
Okay.
So that way you see a company that ideally should probably have 4 different employees would employ only 1 person to do 4 people's jobs, because that's the only way they can save costs. So we all have to come on board to see what can we really do to solve this problem. It's not enough to complain.
See, there's another consequence that people are not looking at. It is that because these people are not employed, it's easy for people who don't mean well to use them.
Of course.
Like we found that, yes, exactly. Lately, the people who are throwing stones at the police in Abuja, where did all these people come from?
If they had a job, they will not be available.
They won't be on the street.
That is so true.
So, an idle mind is a devil's workshop, is a common saying, and we believe that, like the caller from Benin has said, electricity is eating into their profit and is stopping them from doing as much more as they would have loved to do. We, like, banking is, do you know, a lot of banks have laid off workers as well.
Of course.
Because they, you know, Bismarck Rwane predicted this would happen, especially when the monies were moved. When the monies were moved from all the government money was moved. We have a caller from Benin. Hello.
Hello, I'm hearing you.
Okay, how are you, sir?
Are you hearing me?
Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
It's okay. You are talking of employment.
Okay.
It's of employment. We have to do with both urban and rural areas.
Okay.
Okay.
Because some people are in rural areas where they don't have facilities. They want to be working, they want to be investing, but they don't have the means of resources. For instance, organizer and Benin cannot be compared with organizer and method or other people. Now, if you want to shift people go to rural areas, you must make it available for them. So from here, I want to look, even there is no much of work in the urban area, you want to go to rural areas to go and work. But by the time you have compared the urban enjoyment, they are not going to stay in the rural area. Then, if somebody wants to go and make farm, want to stay a week or a month, because of social media, to cook over. Let me give an instance. From the way I went to my primary school in Lagos, 1980, and I took down my stand. Then I want to go and show him my whole primary school. When I reached there, they will not allow me to show my I cannot show because I see my or daddy primary school and if they have become more, I cannot in fact, I take that one as one of the man. I think it's very bad. So the next time I have this only see that show by the roadside. No, it's not so. When I was in that school, I know the way every school was so about. So please, from here, look in this country. So please, for your kindness.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, he has raised a very core point that when you want to draw people into the rural areas, you need to provide like hospitals, markets, schools, recreation centers, and then telecommunications, communications, and then you know, radio, television help in providing entertainment in those places so that people don't feel like they've been cut out from reality and from a civilization.
Will provide jobs.
It will provide jobs. It will provide jobs in those places, and people can then migrate into those places, because the reason people actually leave the rural areas is so that they can
nothing is happening,
so they can benefit from all of this.
We need to take it to them.
All right. There's also a sector that needs to be developed, and it's fashion.
Yes, I agree. But you know, when I speak to fashion designers, they also tell me the same issues.
Okay.
If there's no lights, my overhead cost is killing me.
Okay.
I would really like to employ as many tailors as possible, but how would I pay them?
Okay.
The other alternative is for them to increase the cost that they charge, and then nobody will come and buy them. So we're back to square one.
Well, so we've been talking on unemployment rate in Nigeria, the realities, what the problems really are, and what needs to be done. We have concluded here that, and then our caller from Benin also did add that if we want to develop, if we want to create employment, we should begin to create, establish the like hospitals, markets, schools, and recreational centers, because it says that a vulcanizer in the village It's not different from the one in the town, but his children need to go to schools. And then if the educational system in the village is poor, you will not want to take your children through that kind of school. He mentioned that he took his son and wanted to show the son his school. He was embarrassed. But he was embarrassed and he didn't just do it. And then electricity is important in providing these jobs. Our policymakers should begin to look at the effects and the economic effect of the policies that they make. If you're building a stadium, we need to know how many people it would employ. If it's not, then it's not priority.
We only want job creation.
Job creation is what we need to begin to look into creating jobs for people. And it's when these people get, and then the quality of workers needs to increase, because the schools also, you can't have lecturers who are trying to marks, because that would mean that you'll be passing people who did not qualify.
Who didn't study. There's no need now. Why should I put in the effort? So they come out into the labor market, go for interviews, they don't pass through, and they remain unemployed.
So we don't want to be creating problems for HR experts like TVA.
We've had enough. I beg you.
All right. So that's our show for today. You can visit us.
Your business summits, conferences, seminars, workshops, training and updates in the capital markets. Also in Business Matters, in-depth analysis covering all aspects of the economy.
We talk to all these development banks. What they will always tell you that the companies are not ready to access funding. Not because they don't have money, but the companies are not ready.
Are you a small business owner? Avail yourself of this opportunity to advertise your product on a spotlight on small and medium-scale businesses. Business Matters, every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. Learn, talk, act, and do business on NTA2Lagos Network Center. Business Matters, showcasing your business for increased productivity and profit. Don't miss it.
Hold it! Me! I don't come out my hand from oil bunkering.
General, what you gonna yarn? What did the yarn say? I don't understand though.
Because they spoil our water and our environment. And they cause our people serious harm. Militants said, you know good. Me, I not do again Sam. Because why? Change begins with me.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation.
Wife, who do you think you are? Dad is a real man. In fact, our husbands are our firstborns. The husband needs more attention than even the children.
It's not only about work, it's not only about family. They need to take the time to look after themselves, and we don't do that.
They took my money, I paid every fees. I never asked to be hoisted as a governor. I wanted to be allowed to go out there and contest for the position of governorship candidate first.
There's nothing greater than looking back and seeing that while you were aspiring, you were able to inspire others.
Power to women. Yes. We need to have more women, more multitaskers around Nigeria to get Nigeria working.
Definitely.
All right, I have with me in the studio a woman I'll call a mother of so many, a woman who never gives up. She is very well known in a lot of places, but I know you did tremendous well in Borno State. Join me as I welcome Dr. Salma Anaskolo. Nice to have you in the studio.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Now, I want to know, really, I introduce you as a medical practitioner. And a lot of people have actually gone and studied and got the qualification, MBBS, but they just got comfortable doing the job, the daily job, going to consult, going to do this. But you took it an inch further, extra mile further. What's your, your motivation point? What's your propeller?
Well, thank you very much, Elizabeth. I'm happy to be with you again. Well, my motivation is right from medical school. I think I chose the profession because I want to touch lives. I grew up in Borno in a community where I see a lot of sufferings, especially amongst women and children. I have witnessed a lot of women dying as a result of pregnancy and childbirth. And I have witnessed a lot of cousins, relations, you know, marrying very early. And then sometimes I used to think, why are they marrying them very early? And I used to tell my mom, I will not want to get married, and I will not want to have a child if it means people will die as a result of that. She said, no, this is not the routine. It happens once in a while. So I said, let me go into the medical profession. I used to admire a nurse, an auntie, whom I said, I want to be a nurse because I want to help people. And she said, but you can be a medical doctor. You're a very good student. So that was how I went into the medical profession. It's quite interesting in the medical school when we were asked to do our project. I said, I want to study my dissertation, diarrheal diseases among children under 5. And the professor, our lecturer, asked, why do you want to do that? There are so much you can do. I said, no, because I witnessed a lot of children dying in the families, you know, in our community. He said, good, go ahead and do it. And I did that. So after graduating, I did my housemanship, still within Maiduguri Township, one of the state specialist hospital, which has a lot of burden of women and children, and a lot of people attending clinics there. And I observe, when you go to the pediatric ward, almost 90% of the bed admissions are children under 5. And most of them are admitted as a result of diarrhea, respiratory tract infections, you know, fever, and then a lot also as a result of malnutrition. And then we start counseling, talking to the parents. And most of them are ignorant. They don't know the type of food to give. They don't know even how they should breastfeed their children. They don't know it is important to breastfeed children for the first 6 months of life. Without anything, a child can survive just on breast milk. So I developed interest in that. And one day we had one of these